everyone, I'm Mason, the archivist here at the Dearborn Historical Museum, and today I'm sharing one of the most popular toys from the 1910s. Today I'm sharing Lionel trains, which were electric trains originally established to be kind of showpieces at toy stores in the US. So everybody saw these at toy stores and thought, these are super cool. And so there was demand to make these into toys that could be shared and bought by kids all over America. Today here we have a bunch of Lionel trains in our collection that are frankly super fun to play with. I'm just loving this engine right here. And we have this like really cool New York Central car here, part of our Lionel collection, that is really, fits quite well because the New York Central actually own a bunch of the train tracks here in Dearborn. Let's see here, we have Pennsylvania, okay. They merged with the New York Central Railroad later on. By the way, if you noticed while I'm playing around with this, we're here in our newly established railroad room. And you see here, once things go a little bit more back to normal, we're going to be able to have kids play on this train table that was established where you can actually build a track connecting Detroit to Chicago. We actually have it painted out so you can see the state line on this map, and you can build your nice little railroad connection here. On the walls here, we have a bunch of nice photos from our collection showing all sorts of cool trains all around Dearborn and Detroit. There's nice little cabooses. There's the railroad works. There's a bunch of cool locomotives. We also have, railroad clothing that, eventually you'll be able to try on. So lots of cool stuff down here.
Hi, I am Lauren from the museum, and I am going to show you a cool toy from the 1920s. This is a yo-yo. It is thought that yo-yos originated in China over 1,000 years ago. It has been used throughout history, but became popular in the 1920s in the US after a man named Pedro Flores opened up a yo-yo factory in California in 1928. There are many cool tricks that you can do with a yo-yo. The easiest is the gravity pull, and it looks like this. Now let's talk about a fun toy from the 1930s. One of the most popular toys during this time were baby dolls. Because of the Great Depression, many kids' toys were hand-me-downs from their older siblings. Dozens of toy companies went out of business during this time, so simple toys like dolls were really popular. The most popular doll during the 1930s was the Shirley Temple doll. Millions of Shirley Temple dolls sold across the United States. Here's an example of a doll that could have been a hand-me-down doll in the 1930s. This is called a Dream Baby. The reason it's called the Dream Baby is because when you tip it backwards, like this, its eyes shut like it's sleeping. And when you pick it back up, its eyes open again. This doll was from the 1920s, but it could have been a hand-me-down and given to a younger sibling during the Depression.
Hi everyone, my name is Paul and I'm the assistant curator here at the Dearborn Historical Museum, and I'm going to be showing you a toy from the 1940s that belonged to our chief curator, Jack, way back when he was a boy in the 1940s. Now in the 1940s, America was involved in World War II, which meant there wasn't as much metal around to be used to make toys, so a lot of the toys of the time were hand-me-downs, like during the Great Depression, or kids had to be creative and use things like paper dolls or puzzles or board games. Now, this truck belonged to Jack when he was a boy, and you can see that this is made of heavy metal. It's very heavy duty, and it's a lot of fun. You can use the steering wheel to steer it, and there's a crank over here to make that truck bed go up and down. Jack told us that he would love carting sand around in this in his play area.
Hi, I'm Matt Graff, Collections Manager here at the Dearborn Historical Museum. Today I'm here to talk to you about a cool toy from the 1950s. This one, Gravitation, was originally released in 1959 under a couple different names, including the Rolling Moon and Shoot the Moon. And the object of the game is to get this ball into as high hole possible. So we've got all the way at the bottom here. If you only get it to the first one, you've got negative 250 points. Then 250, then 500, then 1,000, then 2,000, then 5,000. You could play it either by yourself, just trying to beat your own best record, or you could play it in a group. Now, the game can be a little challenging depending on the size of ball that you use to play. This one is slightly smaller, so you have to maneuver these levers to get it as far as possible without dropping down into the negative zone. So, if you would like, I'm going to demonstrate right now how to play this game. It requires a concentration, and there you go. It's at 250. What you can usually do if you concentrate enough, if you're not concentrating, something like this will happen, and it'll get into the negative. The farthest I've gotten on this particular one is the 2,000 mark. However, I'm sure with enough time, I might be able to get to the 5,000. So if you're interested, this game is at the Dearborn Historical Museum. If you want to stop on by, please give us a call. And if you want to look it up online, like I said, there's a few different names. Gravitation is this model. It's also called the Rolling Moon, which has the different planets instead of just regular holes there. And the object is to get all the way to the moon. So, thanks for joining me, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Hello, my name is Art. I would like to tell you about a toy that I like from the 1960s. This is a Tonka Truck that was made in the 1940s but became famous in the 1960s. This is how the dump works on the truck to fill with dirt, toys, etc. Dumping it as you was at work or some sort to have fun out in the yard. It's tough, so if you drop it, it will not break.
Hi everyone, I'm Tyler from the museum, and I'm going to talk about some toys from the 70s. So first, we have this Apollo model set. These were popular really in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Of course, the US went to the moon in 1969, so little models like this were super popular going into the 70s. And what also came out in the 70s? Star Wars. So that became even more popular with the space theme. Another toy that became popular in the 1970s was Kermit. He was created in 1969, first appeared on Sesame Street, and then eventually ended up getting his own shows with the rest of the Muppets.
Hi, it's Paul again, talking about toys from the 1980s. Now, the 1980s saw an explosion of many popular toys that are still around today, like Cabbage Patch Kids, like Transformers, and like Care Bears. Now, the Cabbage Patch Kids with me today were originally from 1976, but in the early 80s they exploded in popularity, and parents were lining up at toy stores for hours just to get their own Cabbage Patch Kids for their kids. Cabbage Patch Kids were adoptable, and you can see they came with their own birth certificate and a lot of other neat features, such as this one with its baby bottle. They're still popular today. My cousin loved Cabbage Patch Kids, and just another example of neat toys from the 1980s.
Okay, and then you can push it towards the camera.
No, it's not letting up. Ah! Derailment!
We're on. You look scared.